You know what I love about the current crop of remastered games, and games from the days gone by coming over to the Android and mobile platforms? What I love about it is it's like coming full circle for me. Many of these games I reviewed right at the beginning of my career, and so today we're taking a look at Tomb Raider on Android. Yes, Tomb Raider, one of the classic titles of the mid-90s, brought across in full glory onto Android. Now it has to be said that when Tomb Raider was first released, I was in a minority of reviewers who felt the game was great. It was certainly groundbreaking for the time, but some of those issues still ring true today. For instance, the control scheme, it was awful in the 90s, and it's still awful today. Here on Android it hasn't been improved. Essentially this is a game that was made really for D-pads as opposed to analog sticks, and so the control scheme when played with a controller on Android, it just feels far too heavy and cumbersome. There is no finesse here to the movement at all. Ultimately you will end up getting stuck on walls an awful lot of the time, having to back up to try and turn yourself a couple of degrees to then move forward again. This becomes especially challenging when trying to pull things like levers, where you have to be perfectly in front of them in order to trigger the action. With that said though, the game is looking beautiful, even in its very polygonic glory. Here we can really see the triangles making up every aspect of the character models. It's almost like stepping back in time in many, many ways. The audio is just as it was originally. That means atmospherically there's some really great stuff going on here. The echoey drops and drips going on within the cave systems, for instance. But on the flip side, some of the repetitive noises, for instance for the bats or the hounds, start to grate after a while, just as they did with the original game. The cutscenes aren't looking so hot anymore, being of a very low resolution taken from the original FMV files by the looks of it. Now, this does mar the presentation slightly. It would have been nice if these assets maybe had been redone, specifically for the mobile release, but at a title that is costing just 99p, maybe we shouldn't expect too much there. The actual in-game graphics look fantastic at 1080p on the Nvidia Shield tablet, and there's even controller support here, but just bear in mind that the original controls were very clunky, and as such that transfers directly one-to-one on whatever control scheme you decide to use, be it controller or be it on-screen controls. It doesn't quite feel as fluid as we've been used to over the last few years, which is to be expected in many respects. This is the original 3D adventure game, and as such it really does rely on the original layouts and the starchiness that we used to have from those old controllers. It just isn't as fluid as it could be. All in all, this is a wonderful trip down memory lane. If you didn't like Tomb Raider originally, you're probably not going to like Tomb Raider on mobile. It is the same game after all. However, if you're looking for a little trip of nostalgia, then Tomb Raider for 99p on Android is well worth picking up. If you've never played the Tomb Raider games before, or if you've only played the more recent reimagining, then it's fun to go back and see where it all started, to literally take a trip back into the game industry's earliest times, when 3D was still a brand new thing and graphics cards like 3DFX were just coming onto the market. This is the birth of three-dimensional accelerated graphics right here in Tomb Raider. And even with its flaws stretching back over the eons, it is still a fun game and still a watershed moment.